Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's The Future of Work campaign. I'm Alistair Greener. Do we really need offices? Well, there are two conflicting arguments to that. One is that we don't. With smart applications and connectivity, we can perform our work anywhere, even from home. And that's surely a more pleasant and supportive environment for employees than a cold, impersonal office. The other answer is that work is not only a business undertaking, but also a social activity. So what if we could create a working space which is as pleasant as a coffee bar, our living room, or somewhere else we'd prefer to spend our time, that also boosts collaboration? Together we are faster, more productive, and have better ideas when we are all members of a tribe that wants to build successful business. Paul Salnico founded the Executive Centre 26 years ago. 2.5 decades of experience proves that it is possible to reinvent the workspace of tomorrow. But what does it look like? Good morning.
Good morning, Alistair.
Tell us about the trends that are determining the future workplace.
Well, I think to talk about the future, we need to talk about the present. And presently, most office accommodation is entirely inflexible. Businesses have fixed space, fixed costs, and it's not allowing them to grow and evolve and react to more conditions.
To give us an example of how that's actually manifesting itself today.
So, for example, with landlords, bricks and mortar, fixed locations, inflexible. Companies, multinationals, SOPs, procedures, rules and regulations, again, highly inflexible. But marketplaces, market conditions, highly flexible.
And it's really interesting when you look at flexibility, it's obviously a great boost for any business to enjoy that flexibility. So why aren't buildings and landlords actually offering this flexibility?
Well, they're not in the business of innovation. Organizations aren't always focused on what people want. They're focused on what they're offering. So, for example, the tech industry, they have inputs from the markets, they have inputs from government regulations, they have inputs from product development. So their headcount and their project focus is constantly changing. If they were in a fixed space, they couldn't accommodate that.
It seems that the Executive Centre have overcome a lot of these obstacles. Tell us exactly what it is that you're offering.
We begin with a flexibility of location. You want to be in a core CBD location, you want to be in a premium building, but you may not have the headcount to lease an entire floor. With the Executive Centre, you can, because you're sharing space. You then want to build out an office environment that inspires your team and is of a high standard, but you don't have the budget for it. So again, you have the flexibility to come into the Executive Centre and you have that result. And then you have flexibility on cost. You want to build out your market share. You want to build out your revenue and profits. Do you really want to be spending money on fit out, on furniture, on antiquated phone systems? No. So you come into the Executive Centre, we have the latest cutting edge technology, we have the attractive environment in a core CBD location, and now you have the flexibility to go and focus on what you really want to, which is making money.
But surely that's going to come at an extra and premium cost, isn't it?
All you're paying for is the workstations that you're occupying. Imagine a legacy solution where you've rented your own office. That took you months to find it, sign the legal documentation, fit it out, finally you move in. By the time you move in, your business requirements have probably already begun adjusting, but you're now fixed into that space for years to come. Where's the opportunity cost of being in such an inflexible space?
Let's see this in practice a little bit. So I'd like to paint a scenario for you. Let's say that I'm a CEO of a startup in Singapore. Business is going well. I can see a few months down the road, a couple of years, I can see flexibility where I'm going to grow and I'm going to develop. Give me an idea of what it's going to be like to work with the Executive Centre. Take me through the plan, through the process of what's going to happen.
So you've just raised your capital, you're driving your product forward, you need to get your office set up very quickly. I'm going to show you some office space in one of our premium towers, and we're going to configure it for you.
Well, let's have a look at this executive centre and see what it looks like.
Well, please come in.
So let's continue the thought process that this is a tech company, 30 people working for us. Give me an idea of what this space would look like.
So we're going to start with an open plan space. It's in a modern grade A building. You look at the bank of windows there. You have the natural light streaming in. We're working with the raised floor so we can position the desking and the cabling wherever we want. Over there, your coders and designers, they're working off of standing desks right over there, clustered as you need them. Then you step over into this area here. You have a bank of breakout area, maybe some chairs, some sofas, a place where people can step away from their desk and relax but still be in the office environment. In this corner, your admin. Your admin are people that are communicating directly and interacting with each other, so you have the desks facing each other and they're in their own space. And they're close to the CFO and the founder, who are in their own offices. The CFO for confidentiality and financial reasons, and the founder because that's the head of the company. And the entire 30-person workspace has its own dedicated entrance, a signage wall, and off to the right there, a 6-person meeting room so that when your suppliers and your customers come in, you can have a meeting within your own space, even though you're still contained within the executive center.
Now imagine though that it's 6 months down the road and the company's doing really well and we've now doubled our workforce. How is this space going to evolve?
First of all, congratulations on doing so well. To accommodate the doubling of your workforce, let's take out that wall over there. And over here in this corner, a couple of huddle spaces where people can sit down around a desk and work together, and a couple of phone booths. But don't forget that you're still operating within an executive center. So out that front door to the right is the community area. And the community area has the barista space, it has the co-working space, it has the lounge seating, it has the meeting rooms and all those other community functions. And by the way, all of your other neighbors and members with whom you can interact. So you have this space now for 60 people, your dedicated office space within which you can work and succeed, and still you're embraced by the executive center.
Okay, so now we've got the location. Let's go back to our thought experiment and let's look at the CEO who's looked at the space, but he's trying to determine how much space he actually needs. How do you help with that?
The space is driven by fundamentally your head count. So if we're staying with our 30 workstation example, you would take a space which accommodates those 30 people. You don't need to take excess space because when you want more space, you come to the executive center and we'll slice off an additional part of our center and we'll incorporate that into your space.
We've heard about the theory of the executive center. So let's look at the practicalities. Can you maybe give us some examples of how it works?
A third of our client base are banks, financial services companies. A third of our client base are IT companies, and the rest of the space is occupied by other businesses. So let me draw you an example from IT. Facebook. Facebook is a client of the executive center, and they opened their first office in Hong Kong with us, taking 6 workstations. So that's one single office, pre-formatted. It's one of our normal offices within an executive center. They gradually grew. I believe they renewed about 3 times. And in that center, they grew to a head count of about 26 workstations. They then needed more space. Our center was full. We are not going to sacrifice one client in favor of the other. So rather, we communicated and cooperated with Facebook, and the executive center leased an additional half floor of space in the very same tower, and we fitted it out in a bespoke manner for Facebook. It's called an enterprise solution, where the finishes, the color scheme, every detail is created as per the requirements of the client. So then suddenly in Hong Kong, Facebook has got a half a floor of space, which is no different to their space in California.
Let's talk about the costs. What costs are actually involved with this?
You have a fixed monthly cost linked to the headcount that you have in an executive center. That's called your workstation cost. You then have the ability to scale up and use additional services on an as-required basis.
Your website and collateral refer to your tenants as members. Why is that?
In our philosophy, we embrace the people that are in our space. Or, for example, the Executive Center itself has over 1,000 people working for it, and we all refer to ourselves as teammates, and it's a team environment. And we're coexisting. We're all living together in an Executive Center. So you build up a relationship at the human level.
Well, it's been fascinating finding out more, and I think we're going to be seeing an awful lot more of the Executive Centre around the world. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Paul Salnico from the Executive Centre. Thank you.
Thank you.